There's something haunting and strangely poetic about an artist taking their final breath while doing what they love most, performing. These 30 unforgettable stars, musicians, actors, wrestlers, and even daredevils, gave their last performance in front of live audiences, cameras, or fans. Their lives were filled with passion, and their final moments left behind legacies that still echo. Let's honor their memory by remembering their stories. 1. Tiny Tim was unlike any other performer. With his ukulele and unforgettable falsetto, he became a pop culture icon in the 1960s. On November 30th, 1996, during a benefit gala in Minneapolis, he was asked to perform one last song, Tiptoe Through the Tulips. As he began playing, he suddenly collapsed mid-performance from a heart attack. Audience members were stunned. He was rushed to the hospital, but the effort was in vain. Tiny Tim passed away at 64 doing what he loved most, bringing joy through his music, voice, and eccentric charm. 2nd, Silver King, born Cesar Cuauhtémoc González Barón, was a beloved Mexican luchador and film actor, best known for his roles in Lucha Libre and in the film Nacho Libre. On May 11, 2019, during a match in London at the Roundhouse, Silver King collapsed unexpectedly in the ring. At first, the crowd assumed it was part of the performance, but when he didn't get up, the mood quickly shifted. Emergency services rushed in, but it was too late. He died at 51 of a heart attack, leaving the wrestling world in mourning. 3. Dimebag Darrell. Darrell Lance Abbott, better known as Dimebag Darrell, was a metal legend, famed for his guitar mastery in Pantera and later Damage Plan. On December 8, 2004, during a show at the Alrosa Villa in Columbus, Ohio, tragedy struck. Just minutes into the set, a deranged fan rushed the stage and opened fire, killing Darrell and 3 others. The music community was devastated. He was only 38. His shocking death sent waves across the globe, and he remains immortalized as one of metal's greatest guitarists, taken far too soon. 4th, Pedro Henrique Silva de Jesus was an emerging talent in Brazil's gospel music world. Celebrated for his powerful voice and heartfelt performances, he captivated audiences with spiritual fervor. On December 13, 2023, during a concert in Feira de Santana, Bahia, the 30-year-old singer abruptly fell silent, collapsing mid-song on stage. The crowd watched in disbelief. Emergency responders quickly transported him to a nearby hospital, but despite their efforts, authorities determined a massive heart attack as the cause of death. His untimely departure sent shockwaves through Brazil's gospel scene, halting a promising journey that had only begun to shine. 5. Christina Grimmie was a young singer with a golden voice and a heart of gold. After gaining national attention on The Voice, she built a loyal fan base worldwide. On June 10, 2016, after performing a concert in Orlando, she was signing autographs when an obsessed fan pulled out a gun and shot her multiple times. Her brother heroically tackled the shooter, but it was too late. Christina, only 22, died that night. The world lost a beautiful voice and a kind soul, and the tragedy sparked renewed calls for better security at live events. 6. Steve Irwin, the larger-than-life crocodile hunter, was known for his fearless wildlife encounters and contagious enthusiasm. On September 4, 2006, while filming Ocean's Deadliest near Australia's Great Barrier Reef, he approached an enormous stingray underwater. Without warning, the stingray struck, driving its barbs straight into Irwin's chest and piercing his heart. His crew pulled him from the water and tried desperately to revive him, but it was too late. Steve died doing what he loved, educating the world about nature. His death shocked millions, and his legacy lives on in conservation efforts around the globe. 7. Carl Wallenda, patriarch of the legendary Flying Wallendas, was famous for death-defying high-wire stunts. At 73 years old, he was still performing jaw-dropping tightrope walks. On March 22, 1978, while crossing between 2 towers of the Condado Plaza Hotel in San Juan, Puerto Rico, strong winds destabilized him. With no safety net, Carl fell to his death in front of onlookers and cameras. The footage would later circulate, cementing the tragedy in circus history. His life and death were a tribute to the relentless pursuit of greatness, no matter the risk. 8. Kosta Tich, South African rapper and dancer, real name Konstantinos Tsobanoglu, was a vibrant force in Africa's music scene. Known for blending amapiano, trap, and dance, he had a massive following. On March 11, 2023, while performing at the Ultra Music Festival in Johannesburg, Costa suddenly collapsed on stage. He stood up only to fall again, this time fatally. Though medical staff rushed to assist, he was declared dead shortly after. He was just 28. His energy, style, and talent left a lasting mark on the global music scene. 9. Barbara Weldens, French singer-songwriter, was known for her poetic lyrics, powerful voice, and passionate performances. On July 19, 2017, she was performing barefoot at the L'Opéra Festival in Gourdon, France, when tragedy struck. As she stepped near some faulty electrical equipment, she suffered a massive electric shock and collapsed. Despite emergency response, she was pronounced dead at the scene. She was only 35 and had just released her first album. Her death stunned the French music world, cutting short a promising career just as it was taking flight. 10. Juan Hamalan. Juan Johnny Walker, a beloved radio host in the Philippines, was known for his cheerful morning shows and positive vibes. On November 5, 2023, during a live broadcast on 94.7 Gold Mega FM in Misamis Occidental, two armed men entered the station. One held staff at gunpoint, while the other walked into the studio and shot Jamalan twice, all while live streaming. The attacker stole a necklace before fleeing. The chilling moment was seen on Facebook and CCTV. Juan's shocking murder rocked the country and raised urgent questions about journalist safety. 11th, Valencia Prime lit up every room she entered. Known as Philadelphia's plus-size dancing diva, she was a beloved drag performer who brought joy, pride, and energy to the LGBTQ+ community. On September 12th, 2022, while hosting her showcase Prime Time at Taboo Lounge, she suddenly collapsed on stage during a performance. The audience was stunned. Despite rapid medical attention, Valencia was pronounced dead at Jefferson Hospital. She was just 25. The cause? Heart disease. Her passing sent shockwaves through the drag community, leaving behind a legacy of love, body positivity, and fierce authenticity. 12. Dick Shawn. Dick Shawn was a master of unpredictable, absurd comedy, a one-man show who often blurred the line between performance and chaos. On April 17, 1987, during a show at UC San Diego, he was in the middle of a satirical monologue when he suddenly collapsed on stage. The crowd laughed, assuming it was a gag. But when he remained still for too long, the mood shifted. He had suffered a fatal heart attack. Shawn died as he lived, mid-performance, giving his all to the craft. The crowd had just witnessed his final punchline. 13. Mike Scaccia, the legendary guitarist for metal bands Ministry and Rigor Mortis, was known for his lightning-fast playing and explosive energy on stage. On December 22, 2012, during a Rigor Mortis concert in Fort Worth, Texas, Mike suddenly collapsed while performing. At first, some thought it was part of the act, but he had suffered a heart attack. He was rushed to the hospital but pronounced dead shortly after. He was 47. His passing shocked the heavy metal world. Scaccia died as he lived, in front of his fans, guitar in hand, pouring out pure adrenaline. 14. Dawn Brancheau was one of SeaWorld Orlado's most experienced animal trainers. She worked closely with orcas and was beloved by colleagues and visitors alike. On February 24, 2010, during a routine session with the killer whale Tilikum, something went horribly wrong. The whale suddenly grabbed her and pulled her underwater in front of a stunned audience. Despite rapid intervention, Dawn could not be saved. Her death sparked intense public scrutiny over animal captivity, eventually inspiring the documentary Blackfish. Dawn's legacy became a catalyst for change in marine animal entertainment. 15. Irma Bule, Indonesian dangdut singer. Irma Bule was famous for her electrifying performances with live snakes draped around her neck, a dangerous twist that thrilled audiences. On April 4, 2016, during a live concert in West Java, one of her King Cobras bit her mid-show. Believing the venom had no effect, she continued performing for 45 minutes before collapsing. She died later in hospital from the bite. Her tragic passing raised serious concerns about performer safety and the use of animals in live shows. Irma died the way she lived, bold, fearless, and unforgettable. 16. Colonel Bruce Hampton was a psychedelic jam band pioneer, beloved for his experimental sound and eccentric stage presence. On May 1, 2017, during his 70th birthday concert in Atlanta, Hampton collapsed on stage while jamming with other musicians. At first, the crowd thought it was part of his theatrical style. He often pulled pranks and odd stunts mid-performance. But when he didn't move, the celebration turned to panic. He died later that evening. His final moment was poetic, surrounded by music, friends, and love. A legend until the final note. 17. Goodbye to Gravity Romanian metal band. Goodbye to Gravity was on the rise, celebrating their new album at Bucharest's Collective nightclub on October 30, 2015. But what started as a celebration turned into catastrophe. A pyrotechnic effect ignited the foam soundproofing on the club's ceiling. Fire spread within seconds. A stampede ensued. 4 members of the band, Vlad, Mihai, Bogdan, and Alex, were among the 64 who perished. It became one of Europe's deadliest nightclub fires. The tragedy sparked nationwide protests in Romania against corruption and poor safety regulations. A night meant for music became a national mourning. 18. KK. Krishnakumar Kunath. KK, one of India's most versatile and loved playback singers, had a voice that transcended generations. On May 31, 2022, he performed a full concert in Kolkata, thrilling a packed auditorium. Moments after leaving the stage, he complained of unease and collapsed. He was rushed to a hospital but pronounced dead on arrival. The cause? A cardiac arrest. KK was just 54. His death triggered an outpouring of grief across India. Tributes flowed in from Bollywood stars and fans alike. His voice had been a soundtrack to millions of lives, and it was silenced too soon. 19. Owen Hart, known as the Blue Blazer, was one of the most talented wrestlers of his generation. On May 23, 1999, during Over the Edge pay-per-view, he was scheduled to make a dramatic entrance from the rafters, but something went wrong with the harness system. Owen fell 78 feet into the ring, live, in front of thousands of horrified fans. The TV feed cut away, and the broadcast later announced his death. WWE never aired the footage, and his family never forgot the preventable tragedy. Hart's death remains one of wrestling's darkest days. 20. Tommy Cooper, the iconic British comedian and magician, was beloved for his slapstick routines and on-stage blunders. On April 15, 1984, he was performing live on the TV show Live from Her Majesty's when he collapsed mid-act. The audience laughed, thinking it was part of the joke. For nearly 10 seconds, the cameras continued rolling, unaware that Cooper was suffering a massive heart attack. He was eventually pulled behind the curtain and rushed to the hospital, where he was declared dead. He died as he lived, with the crowd laughing, completely in awe of his stage magic. 21st. Lillian Harden Armstrong wasn't just the wife of Louis Armstrong. She was a legendary jazz pianist, composer, and bandleader in her own right. On August 27, 1971, just weeks after Louis's death, Lillian performed at a televised memorial concert in his honor. Sitting at the piano, she poured her soul into the music, until she suddenly collapsed mid-performance. She was rushed to the hospital but died of a heart attack en route. At 73, she left the world in the most poetic way possible, honoring love, jazz, and her life's greatest partnership. 22nd. Brandon Lee, son of martial arts legend Bruce Lee, was just 28 when his life was cut short in one of Hollywood's most infamous on-set tragedies. While filming The Crow in 1993, a prop gun, improperly cleaned and loaded, discharged a live fragment, striking Brandon in the abdomen. It happened during a dramatic scene, and at first, no one realized he had been truly shot. He was rushed to surgery, but never regained consciousness. His death halted production and drew scrutiny over film safety practices. Like his father, Brandon became a symbol of talent lost too soon. 23rd. Mitsuharu Misawa was more than just a wrestling icon in Japan. He was a hero to millions. On June 13, 2009, during a tag team match in Hiroshima, Misawa took a suplex and collapsed instantly. The crowd, expecting high-impact action, fell silent as medical staff rushed in to administer CPR. The spinal trauma was severe, and he was declared dead shortly after arriving at the hospital. Misawa died in the ring, where he had built his legacy, an athlete respected not just for his technique, but for his relentless spirit and sportsmanship. 24. Bruce Lee was more than a martial artist. He was a global phenomenon who redefined cinema, philosophy, and physical excellence. On July 20th, 1973, at just 32 years old, Lee collapsed in Hong Kong while preparing for his next film. The cause was cerebral edema, a swelling of the brain, reportedly triggered by a reaction to a painkiller. His death shook the world and sparked endless speculation, conspiracy theories, and heartbreak. Though he didn't die in front of a crowd, his passing mid-project symbolized the sudden loss of a once-in-a-century legend who lived and breathed performance. 25th. Red Fox, legendary comedian and star of Sanford and Son, was rehearsing for a new sitcom The Royal Family on October 11, 1991, when he suddenly collapsed. At first, cast and crew thought he was doing his classic heart attack gag, the same one he'd made famous on TV for years. But this time, it was real. Fox suffered a fatal heart attack and died shortly after. Known for his sharp wit and pioneering role in Black American comedy, Red's final act blurred the line between fiction and reality in a tragically ironic twist. 26. Papa Wemba was more than a musician. He was a cultural icon in Africa, known as the King of Rumba Rock, and a pioneer of soukous music. On April 24, 2016, while performing at the Femua Music Festival in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, he collapsed mid-set. The crowd cheered, thinking it might be part of the show, until confusion and panic set in. Despite immediate attempts to revive him, Papa Wemba passed away on stage. His death was mourned across continents. Through his music and style, he brought African rhythms to the world and left the stage with dignity. 27th. Sib Hashian, the drummer behind the iconic rock band Boston, helped define the sound of an era. His beats were the backbone of hits like More Than a Feeling and Peace of Mind. On March 22, 2017, while performing aboard a Legends of Rock cruise, Sib collapsed on stage in front of fans. Despite emergency efforts, he couldn't be revived. He was 67 and had been quietly battling kidney cancer. For fans of classic rock, his death during a performance at sea felt like the end of an era, a quiet, crashing cymbal to a legendary rhythm. 28th. Nick Menza was the thunderous drummer behind some of Megadeth's most iconic tracks. On May 21, 2016, he was playing with his new band at a small club in Los Angeles. Mid-performance, Menza collapsed on stage. Fans at first thought it was part of the show's intensity, but emergency responders soon confirmed the worst. He was gone, struck by heart failure at just 51. Menza's death sent shockwaves through the metal world. His final moment was behind the drum kit, in perfect sync with the music, a fitting end for a rock soldier. 29th. Juan Carlos Formel, son of Cuban music legend Juan Formel, was known for blending traditional Afro-Cuban sounds with jazz and soul. On May 26, 2023, while performing in the Bronx with the Grammy-winning band Los Van Van, he suffered a fatal heart attack mid-set. At 59, Formel was continuing his family's musical legacy and reaching new audiences in the US. The crowd watched in shock as his bass fell silent. His passing was not only a loss for Cuban music but also a reminder of how fragile even the strongest legacies can be. 30. Bruce Lee's legacy. Though already featured earlier in our list, it's only fitting that we close with the echo of Bruce Lee's legacy. His son Brandon's on-set death in 1993 mirrored the eerie tragedy of Bruce's own passing in 1973. Both were taken during their prime, in the middle of projects, surrounded by creative energy. Bruce Lee's philosophy was to be like water, adaptable, powerful, and pure. And though both father and son were lost too soon, their spirit continues to inspire generations of filmmakers, martial artists, and dreamers. Their final acts weren't just performances, they were symbols of purpose. These stars gave their hearts, their souls, and ultimately, their lives, to their passion. They remind us how fragile life is, and how art, even in death, can leave a mark on the world. Gone too soon, but never forgotten. Subscribe for more stories that celebrate the lives of extraordinary performers. Comment below with the name that touched you most.